Okay, so maybe you're finally warming up to the idea that mindset matters. But now, where to start? Overhauling your life can feel like such a daunting task. I mean, where do you even begin? I'm so glad you asked. Like everything else that we experience in our lives, it all starts from within. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through what self-concept is, why it really runs the show of our lives, and 3 practical steps that you can take to start shifting your self-concept today. Hey guys, it's Gatha and welcome back to my channel. This is my happy little corner of the internet where I like to sit down and chat with you guys about the truths and principles that I've learned along my personal journey that have helped me create a life that I truly love, because I want you to be able to do the same. If that kind of content resonates with you, I would love to have you stick around. We're currently in the middle of my Law of Attraction for Cynics series, and I think there's some really valuable information for you in here. So many people spend their lives trying to force change to happen. And I get why that seems like a natural course of action. From the time we're really young, we're taught that increased effort means increased reward. And while that line of black and white thinking makes sense on paper, does it really hold true in our real life? So many people struggle with constant feelings of failure, shame, and unworthiness because they're not receiving in proportion to the effort that they're exerting. It can feel like the world is out to get you. Like no matter what you do, nothing ever really changes. And that's incredibly dejecting. Think about the hardest working people that you know in our society. Healthcare workers, single mothers. When I stop and think about the people that come in and put in real effort every day, that's who I think about. And quite often, the monetary rewards don't align with the care and devotion that these everyday heroes put in. But this isn't a case of rotten luck or a bad deal of the cards. Many of us are raised to understand that effort does matter. But effort without alignment will eventually turn into burnout, while effort with alignment turns into positive momentum. And yes, please know that I understand that systems and circumstances beyond our control are a very real thing. This isn't about blaming people for what they've been through. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that are within your control. Now, throughout this video, I'm going to be referencing this book here. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. I really enjoyed reading this book. It provides one of the clearest frameworks I've come across to understanding why people get stuck as they try to become someone new and how to get themselves unstuck. Not gonna lie, it's a little bit of a dry read, but there's some really good information in here. If anything in here interests you, I would highly recommend you pick it up and read it for yourself. So let's start talking about self-concept. Your self-concept is a set of beliefs and identity that you hold about yourself and your place in the world around you. Your self-concept strongly influences your attitude, your thought patterns, and generally how you show up in the world. Now, this part is really important. Your self-concept is not about what you want to be true. It's about what your nervous system already believes is true about you right now in this moment. As mentioned in my previous video in this series, your being is a lot like a computer that's made up of 2 parts. Your body is the hard drive, the physical part of your being that acts and perceives the world around you. Your mind and inner being are the software, constantly running in the background and giving your body commands on what's possible and what's not. Your self-concept is that software. It's the part of you that lives within your subconscious mind and directs what feels safe for you to experience and what doesn't. Now, this is obviously just a metaphor. We as human beings are way more complex than machines, but I think it is a useful way of thinking about this concept. In his book, Dr. Maltz identifies this as our inner success mechanism. Similar to a computer, we humans are directive driven. In order to feel and be useful, we need to have an objective, a purpose. Based on his research, Dr. Maltz suggests that we human beings lock in on a goal or an objective, and our inner success mechanism propels us to succeed at that thing. But that inner success mechanism can backfire on us. Because if a person holds a deeply seated belief that they're a failure, your internal software is going to align with that truth. It's going to align with your self-concept. And then, well, your subconscious mind will rise or fall to the bar that you've set for it. Your subconscious mind doesn't function to make you happy. It functions to keep you consistent. Sure, you may have a really strong desire to change things and really create a life that you love. But if your self concept isn't aligned with the things that you really desire, you're going to be in for a hard time trying to attain them. In his book, Dr. Maltz describes treating a patient who had a rather large facial scar. And this patient had really, really deep internal beliefs about his self worth based on his physical appearance. This man hated his scar and had really deep feelings of unworthiness that stemmed from his physical appearance. Even after receiving extensive plastic surgery that completely erased any physical mark on his face, this patient still struggled with these feelings of unworthiness because he'd internalized that belief about himself. He struggled to feel confidence in both his personal and work life. For some reason, he just could never meet the expectations that he set out for himself. Now, let's juxtapose that with the experience of this group of German men who were the part of this elite collegiate dueling society. As described by Dr. Maltz, these men were intensely trained fighters. And when they received a deep, noticeable facial scar, it wasn't seen as a bad thing. On the contrary, these dueling club members wore their scars with pride, reporting elevated levels of self-confidence and self-esteem stemming directly from their injuries. These scars were meant to represent a member who is in good standing with the club. These men felt braver, more confident, and capable as ever because of their severe facial scars. And that confidence translated in their actions too. Same circumstance, same stimulus, completely different identities. Nothing crazy about the circumstances were really that different. What mattered was what happened in here. A lot of the beliefs that we hold about ourselves, even to this day, came from very early on in our development, from repetition, from your environment, and from your experiences. You will never be able to act out of accordance with the beliefs that you hold about yourself. Your subconscious mind is always looking for opportunities to affirm the beliefs that you already hold about yourself because it feels safe and comfortable to your nervous system. Your ego, basically the part of you that protects your inner sense of identity, will reject beliefs that you hold about yourself, even positive ones, if they don't align with your self-image. That's why, from a practical standpoint, it is so important for you to start your journey by healing your self-concept. It's not magical thinking, it's human psychology. You move towards those things that feel safe, recognizable, and achievable for you. That's why manifestation isn't magic. It's identity plus repetition. And some people like to call that the law of attraction. Change the software and the hardware will behave differently. Not because you forced it, but because the instructions have changed. Doing self-concept work was really the impetus for me making the biggest positive shift in my life that I've ever made. I didn't realize that so much of what had been holding me back for years, my insecurities, my procrastination, my avoidant tendencies, were all stemming from feelings of negativity very deep in my self-concept. My nervous system didn't feel safe receiving good things. I'd spent so much of my life feeling unlovable and unlucky and unworthy that I'd internalized all of those beliefs in my subconscious mind. They became a part of me, of my identity. And so my actions followed my inner beliefs. Even though I felt all of this untapped potential within myself, and I tried really, really hard to push myself into achieving, it never felt right. I had a chronic case of imposter syndrome and had a hard time accepting the good things that did eventually make their way into my life. Job interview went well? Great. It was completely draining for me to do so. Even when I did eventually receive the call that, yay, I'd gotten the job, I immediately found myself bracing for something bad to happen. Like my subconscious mind couldn't just rest and allow things to be good. I could never fully enjoy the blessings that I did receive because having a strong sense of confidence and self-worth just wasn't really a part of who I was at that time. It felt like I was constantly putting on a mask to the outside world. And nobody wants to feel that way. We have a deep need to feel seen, accepted, and appreciated for who we truly are on the inside. Learning how to reprogram my self-concept has been one of the greatest joys and accomplishments of my life. And don't get me wrong, it's not that my life had suddenly become perfect, but my baseline shifted from I'm at the mercy of this to I'm strong, I'm capable, I'm confident, I can handle this and move forward in the right direction. It was one of the first times I ever remember feeling truly empowered. Suddenly, I was no longer a victim to the circumstances of my life. I was calling the shots. I was setting the standard because I'm in charge of me. Now, this is where a lot of people get stuck. Willpower alone isn't enough to override bad code. If you feel like you're having to exert heavy amounts of effort to make changes in your life, you're going to burn yourself out before any real, meaningful shifts can happen. Think about the cockiest, most arrogant person you know. I bet it's really clear to you, and probably to most of the people around them as well, that they're struggling with a deficiency in their self-belief. Sometimes the loudest confidence is just compensation. And if you try jumping into an identity that your nervous system just doesn't feel comfortable holding, you'll self-sabotage every time. Not because you're broken, but because your nervous system is protecting what's familiar. So the solution really isn't about adding pressure. It's about changing the code. Your self-concept is the blueprint for your brain. It can't be overridden. And if the beliefs of your self-concept are no longer aligned with the version of your life you're trying to live, or the person that you're trying to become, or if those beliefs come from a wounded place of past trauma and pain, your subconscious mind may be keeping you trapped in the exact cycle that you're trying to escape. Self-concept work allows you to intentionally rewrite the blueprint in a way that supports who you are right now. Today, I'm going to give you 3 simple steps that will help to shift you into a self-concept that's aligned with who you want to be. Each of these processes is simple, but incredibly powerful at helping you shift your perspective and change your life into what you want it to be. Each of these processes is simple, but incredibly powerful at helping to shift your identity and step into a life that you want to be living in. Now, before we dive in, there's one thing I would like to note very quickly. When you first get into these practices, it can feel a tiny bit awkward at first. That's okay. That doesn't mean this isn't working for you. It just means your system is updating. The 3 processes that I'm going to walk you guys through today are mental rehearsing, emotional conditioning, and behavioral proof, acting as if. We're going to be approaching these steps in a very tangible, practical, and grounded way, just for all you realists out there. Let's start by talking hard facts. Did you know that your body can react to imagined experiences as if they were real? That's why people can have such real physical reactions in fearful situations, even when the mind knows that the threat isn't real. Think about watching a really scary movie. Even though your brain understands that you're watching a fictionalized story on screen, your body can't help but respond. Your heart starts racing and you flinch a little bit every time a jump scare happens. We can use this fact to our advantage to mentally rehearse the type of person we want to be. So here's what you do. Set a timer for 3 to 5 minutes a day, nothing too crazy, and spend some really focused time just daydreaming, imagining your dream life, imagining the ideal version of yourself. Get as specific as you can and really focus on the details. The more of those little details you can get, the more deeply engrossed your nervous system becomes in this mental rehearsal. When we think about visualizing, we often immediately jump to our sense of sight, what things look like, how we picture them in our head. And while that's a really great jumping off point, don't be afraid to get your other 4 senses incorporated too. Challenge yourself to add 1 additional sensory detail to your visualizations. The music, the scent, the environment, something that feels familiar to your body. Journaling and sketching can also be really helpful tools for bringing your visualization into reality, but you can also get really creative with this and make a fun picture collage on Canva. The more detailed you can be, the better. This is the fun part, so really go crazy and soak up all of the joy of this part of the process. The next step towards self-concept healing is conditioning your emotional response. Now that we've got a very clear picture of what your self-concept is striving for, it's time to start gently conditioning your nervous system to accept that new belief. But how do we do that? It's simple. We start by recalling an emotion that's similar to the one that we're aiming for now. And I'm not talking about these big, life-changing, pivotal emotions. In fact, oftentimes the simple, mundane memories that we have work perfectly for this exercise because those emotions are predictable and they're consistent. And that's what your nervous system needs to grow. If you're trying to attract success at your job, Pause and think about another time in your life where you felt successful. Maybe it's the first time you successfully rode a bike without training wheels, or it's the first time you successfully parallel parked your car after getting your driver's license. The memory here doesn't really matter. What's important here is that you have a really clear read on the emotion, an emotional tether, if you will, so that your nervous system is able to start associating that positive emotion with the reality that you're visualizing now. And the final step of the process of healing your self-concept is getting behavioral proof, stepping into this new identity for real. Let me warn you now, this part of the process can often feel uncomfortable. You may experience a real sense of imposter syndrome as your new identity solidifies itself within you, but push through that discomfort and show up anyway. Make a real conscious decision to embody the person that you're working to become. If you're determined to be a healthy girly, imagine what that looks like in your real life. What will your workouts be? What outfits will you wear while you're doing them? What's your healthy meal plan? How does that taste when you put the food in your mouth? How strong do you feel moving your body every day? How much pride and fulfillment do you feel knowing that you followed through with these steps to love your body better? Now act from that place, even if it feels unnatural, even if it feels really messy as you get started, even if you don't know exactly what your next step is supposed to be. Step into the identity of that healthy woman and ask yourself, how would she show up today? What would she order off the menu at lunchtime? Would she be taking the stairs or the elevator right now? Like everything when it comes to our nervous system, consistency brings alignment. So pick just one area of your life, mentally rehearse it, condition your emotions to accept it, and then step right into that new identity. 5 minutes a day may sound small, but consistency is how our nervous system learns. It took me time, consistency, and care to finally step into the version of myself that I really wanted to be. And I'm by no means saying that I'm perfect. Part of the joy of this journey is that you never truly arrive. But now I move through the world with so much more ease and assuredness because I've learned one of the major keys. Now I understand why some people seem like they're floating through life effortlessly, like things just always work out for them. They have a positive, healthy self-concept, and everything else in their life flows from that place. They walk through the world with an innate confidence and sense of certainty. Everything just seems to go their way. And I hope you're starting to see that that's not luck. It's not magic. It's just proper alignment between what your mind wants and what your self-concept believes is possible for you. Sit with this information for a while. It can be a lot to digest. Take some quiet time to reflect on who it is you really want to be, how you want to show up at work, with your family, and for yourself. Then, when you're ready, start using that 3-step framework to heal your self-concept. This isn't a race. There's no rush. Start small, stay consistent, and over time, with consistency, you'll look up and realize that you've shifted and become someone new. In my next episode, we're gonna dive deeper into your nervous system. We're gonna talk a little bit more about how you can update your internal software without faking positivity. If you're still here, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It truly does mean the most. If this landed for you, please let me know in the comments down below what identity you're choosing for yourself this week, even if it feels a little awkward at first. Thank you guys again so much for your time. I hope you got some value from this video, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.